that. And so now, well, I'll move that the report as a whole be adopted. Seconded by David East. Yep. And you would like to make a point? Okay, David East.
Just with relationship to item 11 on page 153, where we have requested staff to identify, it's 11.2, identify options for the legacy project in New Brighton. Just drawing Council's attention to the Burwood Pegasus board discussed this matter on Tuesday this week, and just that the time frames to get that back by the end of May may be a little tight. The board has at this stage opted to use the community advisory group that's been set up for the master plan and to expand that group to look at this project. So we've just got to go through, we're proposing to add the chairpersons or representatives of some of the local residents associations to that advisory group to consider options for the legacy project, and it may be just a little tight to get that back by the end of May. So just advising the council that the process has begun. Time frames are tight.
Yeah, I haven't received a report on it yet. I know that I'm one of the signatories on the process, so yeah. So I'm expecting that to come to me at some point. But I don't think that council itself would be, concerned as long as the community was in control of the process.
They are, and
yep.
We expect something back certainly very early June.
But well, if you don't have anything available by the end of May, just please make sure that there is a report on the agenda by the end of May to state that, because I think we've got to get ourselves into the habit of having reports meeting the timetable, and if that doesn't mean that the report's ready, at least there's a report that says that we would request an additional 2 weeks. It's just so that the council is signing off on the timetables that are then met. It's just a discipline that we need to ensure that we have in place. Pauline.
Different topic, if that's all right.
Yes, please.
I fully endorsed your comments there too, Lee, and it's so easy to lose track of things, and thanks Councillor East for updating us on that. Just if we could just draw attention to page 152, 7.1, that we did request an urgent report back on how to change the parameters of the SCIRT to better align with NERP program. So if we could just take a note of that, and hopefully that is in progress. And I think that Yanni, you suggested that, and it's a good idea.
Yeah. Yanni.
So I know that I think we've asked for a briefing with SCIRT as council. I know that the Hagley Ferrymead Community Board has been really concerned that the Natural Environment Recovery Program actually has a lot of really good things in it, but there's no statutory effect to it, so there's no requirement for those things to happen. So it really relies on the goodwill of other organisations that are doing the work to take the outcomes into account. And unfortunately, and I think quite tragically for the city, that's not happening with SCIRT. So on Beckford Road in Opawa, the old deep dish channel is being put back, which is almost hard to understand. You've got things happening around the estuary edge, for example, where the height of the road isn't being raised, and where we've got master planning or coastal edge planning that we want to get a better level of amenity or environmental protection, that the SCIRT are putting back what was there on September 4th, which is inadequate for our future needs as a city. There was a whole bunch of other things in here around flooding, around land drainage, around storm water management, just basically the things we have a wonderful opportunity to do as a result of the earthquake, with the huge amount of work that we have to do in terms of infrastructure repair. But the gap is that SCIRT are not aligned to it. And that is something I think we should all be really concerned about. So this is urgent. We've got streets in the central city that are as part of the accessible transport plan that have been put back as they were on September 4th, not put back as they've been identified in the central city recovery plan. We've got old channel going back where we should be having new modern channel. This is really concerning. So, I just can't stress how urgent it is for us to be able to have the chance to have this conversation about changing the mandate of SCIRT so that we can get those better environmental outcomes. Otherwise, we won't be able to afford to get them.
Look, if we got SCIRT to come here and do a presentation, then we would have the organisational structure presenting to us, and they would quite rightly say that this is within our hands. We are one of the three essentially governors of that organisational structure. So it's, I guess what we need to do is we need to direct our representative on the horizontal infrastructure governance group, because I think there's a mistake that people make that all of the horizontal infrastructure is being dealt with through SCIRT. It isn't. The stormwater and flood management is being dealt with by the council. So 30% is not all of the stormwater. The pipes are done by SCIRT, but the other infrastructure is being dealt with by the council. So 30% of the horizontal infrastructure has been dealt with by the council, 70% by SCIRT. So what we need to do is we actually need to bring them really to the task force on one hand, but we also need to direct our representative on the horizontal infrastructure governance group to take a more proactive role in terms of the parameters of the SCIRT team in terms of their reporting back to us, because they are not funded to do more than put back. They have to come to us and get additional funding. And I think I've made this comment on more than one occasion. The trouble is that they look underground at the size of the pipes. They don't look around and see the external environment, which is why we missed, I think, significant opportunities in the Woolston area around the tannery, particularly around road realignment and parking and access to the river and all sorts of things. So, which could have been dealt with at exactly the same time as SCIRT, but it does need to be funded separately.
Not a case, in my view, of it being SCIRT being aware of it, because places like the tannery were brought to their attention. The problem is that we're a minority shareholder, a minority at the governance level of SCIRT, so we're one vote.
No, I think you misunderstand. We are not a minority. It is done by consensus. Okay. Everyone has to agree. So
well, that's why we wanted the report, because I don't understand. Like, when it first got set up, we had a report come to council, SCIRT got a mandate, they've gone off and done their thing. Things have changed and evolved, and I don't want to refer to the Fitzgerald Ave situation, but things have evolved. We have a lot more knowledge now about our natural environment. We have a natural environment recovery program in place that we didn't have when SCIRT was set up. So we need to have a good look at what is the parameters of that group and how do we change it if we feel that it should be changed.
Yeah. So no, I agree with that. But we've got the report on the agenda. So why don't we require that report to come to the Earthquake Recovery Committee of the whole next week?
Just don't know that time frame.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to move that we request. So I mean, I can't say that they're in a position to deliver. That we request that the report under item 7 of the Earthquake Recovery Committee of the whole agenda be provided to the Earthquake Recovery Committee of the whole next week, and if it is not available by then, that it be included in the report with the task force on the flood issues. So that at least it's got a reporting timetable of 1 week or 3. All right.
Just in the resolution, it just needs to say Natural Environment Recovery Program.
Yeah.
It's just a Mr. Word. Thanks.
Oh yes, natural environment, the NERP as it's called. And I'll move that, and Jani Johansson will second it. I'll put, oh, sorry, Glenn?
Just speak to it. I just wonder whether parameters actually goes far enough. For me, it's about the actual modus operandi of SCIRT. If when they came to the Burwood-Pegasus Community Board, they presented the International Association of Public Participation Spectrum, but only showed the board the first two blocks on the spectrum. There are 5, and the first 2 are inform and consult. So that's their understanding of their job. They're there to tell us what they're doing, and they will consult with us. Now, the Prime Minister has said, when he said engagement, I'm pretty sure I heard him say meaningful engagement. So to me, that takes SCIRT further along that spectrum, and I would like this actually, if we could in some way, could that report include in its scope looking at that engagement process, because it's not, we'll just find a mismatch between the parameters, I think. For me, it comes back to that modus operandi under which SCIRT actually operates.
I think it's a misunderstanding of what SCIRT is. SCIRT is a structure of 5 different, infrastructure companies that work for a combined governance group of the council, Sarah, and the New Zealand Transport Agency. So, the council ought to be further down that spectrum, but that's the council's role.
I think they're doing what, that's their understanding. They're just doing what they think they've been asked to do, but they obviously need to.
Yeah. So, I understand what you mean, but I think we forget that it's actually our responsibility to lead that consultation. Ali?
Yeah, just quickly, I've heard it said on more than one occasion that SCIRT is not funded for anything more than putting back what was already there.
Yeah.
It has already been made perfectly clear to the community boards and certainly Shirley Papanui that they're not even funded to put back what was there before. So I'd like some clarification on that. Duncan Gibbs communicated that to us recently, and it's a budgetary issue, and I'd just like some clarification on it, please.
Yep, we can include that. It might actually be worthwhile if we could get SCIRT to come and do a presentation next week to the Earthquake Recovery Committee of the Whole on its program, but having them respond to questions about what are the governance parameters is probably not helpful. But yeah,
Why don't we actually meet with the governance group? Because we've never met Mark Ford. We've never met the governance client group. So why don't we actually get them? It just seems to me that we can deal at a management level till we're blue in the face, but actually it's that governance group that is the key one that's driving the way in which they work and what they bring in front of us for betterment versus what they just get on and do. So can I propose that we actually seek a meeting, an urgent meeting with them to understand where they see things and to hear back on how we might be able to address some of the concerns.
I don't think it's appropriate to invite the governance group of SCIRT to come to the Committee of the Whole. The whole council. No. It's just... We'll deal with that afternoon, after morning tea, because I want to talk to you about it. But I think that we will invite SCIRT to come here next week and just give us an update on their progress. I'm concerned about what Ali Jones said, that the manager of SCIRT said, because they are funded for putting back what was there. So I really want to hear about that. I am concerned that they don't necessarily look above ground for the betterment opportunities to bring back here for additional funding. So, but we don't need a resolution to do that. So we've got a resolution here that the report under item 7.1 be provided to the Earthquake Recovery Committee of the Whole, if not available by then, to be included in the report on the flooding task force issues. So I'll put that resolution. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And let's just